It's Subverted Tropes, a podcast about movies, featuring your hosts Daniel Spencer and Kate Harlow.
Welcome to another episode of Subverted Tropes. I'm Dan.
I'm Kate.
And what we do on Subverted Tropes is we talk about a movie, and then we watch it, and then we talk about it some more.
When you break it down like that, it seems really formulaic and boring.
That's very true. So then how about this? What we do on Subverted Tropes is we research a movie, we talk about it, we watch it, and then we talk about it some more. Wait, no. I'm not good at this.
I think you are. I just think you're overthinking it.
We
delve deep into the story of what made that movie happen.
And we make jokes along the way.
Yes.
There's some things that just go really well together.
Macaroni and cheese.
Chocolate and peanut butter.
Peanut butter and jelly. Beer and pretzels.
Beer and pretzels. Meat
Crackers
and
and
potatoes.
cheese.
Crackers and cheese. You and me.
Yeah.
Whipped cream and anything.
Whipped cream on turkey?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, take it back.
I'll walk that back. Whipped cream and
Dessert.
dessert.
Yes.
What's your favorite combination of things?
I just listed most of them.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Mostly you and me, but then mostly food.
Yeah.
So
There's so many great food combinations.
there are.
Personally, I love the combination of Muppets and Christmas.
Yes.
There's a ton of Muppet Christmas specials. We'll be talking about some of those later this month.
Yes.
There's the John Denver and the Muppets Christmas album, which is one of my absolute favorites. But what we'll be starting with is a Spencer family Christmas staple, usually the first Christmas movie that we watch or watched every year when we were kids, The Muppet Christmas Carol.
I'm so excited.
It is one of my absolute it's my favorite Christmas movie, period. And
That's what made it so sad when you couldn't find it last year.
yes, that is very true. I was
behind
a
the
lot more
DVD case.
upset than I was willing to show. And I was showing that I was pretty upset. But there's so much that I just love about this movie. It's got so much heart.
That's the definition of the Muppets.
Yeah.
So much heart.
Very true. You are clutching Ripley
Because
like she's about to blow away. I'm not going to kick her out of the room.
Last time you kicked her out of the room.
You're making now she's going to knock something over.
You said I didn't have it under control last time.
Well, I
It
love
was
you,
working
but
really
you
well.
didn't. But that's fine. Ripley's welcome here until she knocks over our recording equipment.
You're on warning.
You're on blast. So, let's talk about this movie.
Tell me.
This is the first Muppet movie made after Jim Henson's death. And in 1992, there was an agent who contacted Brian Henson, Jim Henson's son, and said, "A Christmas Carol is the greatest story of all time. You should do it."
Fair.
And so Brian said, "Okay." The agent sold the movie to ABC as a TV movie.
Mm-hmm.
Ripley is all up in our recording space right now, but I don't think it's showing too much, so I'm fine with it for now. So he went with it as a TV movie because he thought since Jim Henson wouldn't technically be attached to it, that it wasn't going to have that much
The
appeal.
same. Yeah, the same. I don't have the words.
Draw.
Yeah, the same
Shine.
shine, draw.
Shraw. Drine. Brian Henson brought on longtime Muppets writer Jerry Jewell, who wrote
Who
The
I'm
Muppet Show.
I'm sure Brian grew up with as Uncle Jerry.
He had to have. I mean, he wrote The Muppet Show. He was heavily involved with the writing of everything from the Muppet movie through to Muppets from Space.
Yes.
Another one of my favorites.
Yes.
It's not a great Christmas movie.
No.
But it's a great movie.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Jerry Jewell was often, because he was involved in so many projects, he was often called the voice of the Muppets, which I just love. Because they're already given their own voices.
I was going to say, did he actually voice any of them? Or is he's just
No, he was just the writer.
The mouthpiece,
And director
maybe.
sometimes. The mouthpiece of the Muppets. Frank Oz, obviously also Jim Henson and, several others, but Frank Oz being one of them.
Yeah.
The biggest
Yes.
voices
Yes.
of the Muppets. So Jerry decided that he wanted to have Charles Dickens present in the movie as his own character to really get that Dickensian flow.
It makes sense.
He hadn't figured out who he wanted, but they did go ahead and figure out everybody for the ghost roles. They were going to have Statler and Waldorf be Robert and Jacob Marley, of course. Scooter would be the ghost of Christmas past.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Piggy would be the ghost of Christmas present.
Mm-hmm.
And Gonzo would be the ghost of Christmas yet to come.
Yes.
They kept working on the script, and at that point, Richard Hunt, who was the voice of Scooter, had contracted AIDS and passed away before the movie began.
Oh.
So they changed the script around. They took Scooter out of the movie entirely.
Right.
They changed Miss Piggy to be Miss Cratchit. And they decided that Gonzo would be best as Charles Dickens. The reasoning behind that was that he was the one least likely to be Charles Dickens.
Yes.
They're like, which Muppet would never, ever be cast as Charles Dickens?
I would say Swedish Chef, but obviously I would be wrong.
I would love to see a Swedish Chef Charles Dickens. But you know what? Give me Great Expectations.
Yes.
With a done by the Muppets, with a Charles Dickens character as played by the Swedish Chef.
Yeah.
I would love it.
Yes.
Or The Tale of Two Cities. Nope, I can't do a Swedish Chef. Nope. Hold on. Billy ass that. No. Shout out to the maybe one of you who gets that Vine reference. I love referencing Vines.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, Walt Disney Studios said, you know what? This project being helmed by ABC as a TV movie is looking like it's pretty promising. So they picked it up and turned it into a feature film.
Thank you, Disney.
Thank you, Disney. At this point, they began casting for Scrooge.
Mm-hmm.
This was very difficult for them because they didn't know if they wanted to go with a comedian or a distinguished English actor.
There aren't enough that do both.
There aren't.
Get you one who can do both.
They thought about David Hemmings.
Mm-hmm.
They thought about Ron Moody.
Mm-hmm.
They thought about David Warner, which would have been also great because I love David Warner.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely love him. They thought about George Carlin.
Oh my God.
That would have been very different.
Yeah, but it would have been amazing.
It would have been, really good,
Yeah.
but very different.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a totally different animal. But George Carlin.
George Carlin. And eventually, they settled on Michael Caine.
What a world to live in when Michael Caine is settling.
Right? So they went to him and said, Michael, we would like for you to be in this movie.
And he immediately accepted with no negotiations or arguments, right?
Yeah. He just had one stipulation.
Ooh.
He said, and I quote, I'm going to play this movie. No, fuck it. Hold on. Wait. I'm going to play this movie like I'm working with the Royal Shakespeare Company. I will never wink. I will never do anything Muppety. I'm going to play Scrooge as if it is an utterly dramatic role, and there are no puppets around me.
Oh, gracious.
He still talks about how this is a defining and memorable role for him. Because he fucking kills it. He is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
As Ebenezer Scrooge.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot more. I think there's more to be said for people who approach things like that very seriously. I mean, everybody goes crazy for the. I don't like this terminology, but the straight man. So, I mean, when you're working with Muppets,
right?
That's really like the best choice you can make.
It's always a very interesting choice, I think, to see like that the straight man, quote unquote, playing against just like, goofy characters. For instance,
on the other side, though, there is the people who totally give themselves over into Muppet Mania, like Tim Curry in Muppet Treasure Island.
Oh, and he does it so spectacularly.
But I mean,
very,
very
he goes full Muppety.
Yeah.
For instance, one of my favorite non-reactive characters, I'll say, was the actress Margaret Dumont in all of the Marx Brothers movies.
Yep.
Had an incredible, was able to keep a completely straight face during all of their antics. And when asked why, she just said she didn't think they were that funny, which is
beautiful.
Crazy. Marx Brothers are hilarious.
They are. It's true. Karl Marx always makes me laugh.
Yeah. He's great.
So
two communists are hanging out at a nudist colony. And one turns to the other and says, "Have you read Marx?" And the other one says, "Yeah, I think it's from the Wicker Chair." My Karl Marx joke. It's not mine. I mean, I heard it from other people. It's not like I wrote that joke, but it's the one that I like to tell. Anyway, let's get back to this movie.
Yes, Michael Caine.
Michael Caine was absolutely fantastic. During filming, he had to be very careful with his footsteps because in order to work with the Muppets, he had to, they had to build planks and platforms for him to walk on so that the puppeteers could puppeteer.
Yeah.
Did you say you have Pop-Tarts?
Pop-Tarts?
He had sometimes very narrow walkways that in order to really successfully navigate, it was basically like dancing. And he talks about how very fun it was to be acting like you're in the Royal Shakespeare Company, but also dancing around, basically.
That's great.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, Jim Henson had passed away, and this is the first movie that was made without him.
Yeah.
And so Jim Henson, of course, was the voice of Kermit.
But literally everybody who's ever seen Kermit anywhere has been trying to do that voice their whole life.
That's very true. Kermit the Frog. See, I can't quite do it.
It's not bad.
Shoddy, I don't mind. Another
Vine
reference.
all the vines tonight.
That's right. That's what this podcast is going to turn into, guys. Just me referencing vines because I long for the olden days when I made vines. So Stephen Whitmire was the new Kermit the Frog. And of course, he was extremely anxious about it.
Yeah.
The pressure of being the new Kermit for the first movie.
That's huge.
It's huge. The night before shooting, he had a dream. He woke up in a beautiful white hotel lobby, and there with him was Jim Henson.
It was really just four Muppets wearing a trench coat. I'm real proud of myself for that, guys.
Hey there, Stephen. It's me, Jim. the frog. Wait. Jim Henson. Don't be anxious. Love, Jim. Not for Muppet Scooter. Stop it.
Waka waka.
Anyway, so he said that he and Jim had a fantastic conversation in his dream, where eventually he opened up and said, "Look, I'm really nervous about essentially taking your place." And he said that Jim...
I can't be replaced.
He said that Jim put 2 fingers under his chin, as was a thing he would do all the time. And in what he says is a very Jim Henson-like move, he said, "It will pass." And he said that was the most comforting thing that he could have heard. And he had no more issues or qualms about being in the movie. Ripley, you've been on our recording table pretty much this whole time. That's fine. Just please don't go near the mixer and don't knock over our microphones. So there are a couple of songs that were recorded but not actually shot,
Right.
which makes me very sad.
No.
One of them was a song from Sam the Eagle
Oh.
called Chairman of the Board, and another was a duet between Bunsen Honeydew and Beaker called Room in Your Heart.
Oh.
These are actually on the official soundtrack, so you can still hear them. They are still on the soundtrack. They're just not in the movie.
Surely somebody somewhere has put animation to these.
I would hope so. I'm going to look it up, and if I can find it on YouTube, we'll link to it in the blog. So, let's go watch this movie, and then we'll come back and talk about it some more.
Okay.
Doesn't that sound appealing?
Yes.
Or we'll delve more into the tropes of the movie and talk about how wonderful it is, and my heart is just going to be so full because we're recording this on Thanksgiving, and usually it was the Spencer family thing to watch it Thanksgiving night, and it was officially Christmas. And here in our apartment, it's been officially candle nights for a while because
About a week.
we're fans of the McElroys.
We have mentioned this before.
We have mentioned it before, but candle nights is a trademark of Big Giant Head. So, we're acknowledging that. We're not trying to take it, but it's candle nights, guys. And
Yeah, we are celebrating the Macklemore.
It's a holiday
Guys,
where
I'm
you
real
go to
tired.
thrift stores and you always walk up into the club like, "Yo, what up? I got a big cock."
I mean, that's how I operate every day.
I mean, that's true. Okay, Ripley.
We here are celebrating the McElroy Big Giant Head product candle nights.
Yes.
And it is merely a sign of our love and respect for the McElroys. Don't sue us,
Precisely.
please.
So we're going to go watch this movie, and we'll be right back. And we're back.
That is a delightful classic, I think.
Isn't it, though?
It is.
It's just so sweet.
It is.
I love Michael Caine's performance.
Yes, he's really exceptional. And God, so young.
He's so comparatively young.
Yes. So, a baby Michael Caine face.
Baby Michael Caine face. He was 59 when this movie came out.
Well.
So, I mean,
And this came out in what year again?
92.
Yeah, it's been a long ass time.
I mean, it's been
And he is so well preserved.
25 years.
Yeah, no, I mean he still looks goddamn good as he is now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, time has been kind to him.
I mean, he's Michael Caine. He's just ageless, except that he looks pretty old.
Yeah, I would say he's aging slowly.
Let's talk about a couple of things. There are some stores that we can see in the movie.
Yes.
Statler and Waldorf being one of them, which obviously is a nod to the characters of Statler and Waldorf.
Who are
Muppets
named
we all
for
know
the
and
hotels.
love. Yep. But of course, they're the Muppets that we all know and love who heckle Fozzie Bear and the Muppet Show.
They heckle everybody in the
I mean, they heckle everybody, but one of my favorite facts about them was people would often ask, why do they keep coming back? And Henson and the rest of the Muppet Muppeteers said that it's because they were screwed into their sheets. Let's talk about the song When Love Is Gone.
Oh, jeez.
So, When Love Is Gone is the song that romantic interest, what's her name? Belle sings to young Ebenezer when she realizes that the love between them is gone. Now, the two of them, I would say the actor and the actress who portray these characters,
They're pretty flat.
they're very flat. They're both terrible
I imagine
actors.
I think some of that had to have been direction. I think some of that was you're a proper man and a proper lady in Victorian England.
Right.
So, don't have too many feelings.
But it's still so bad.
It's
so
still
that
very flat.
song is...
That song's awful.
The song was cut from the theatrical version
Yes.
because Brian Henson felt, this is maybe going to be a little boring for the kids.
Yeah. And really, we shouldn't set up unrealistic expectations in the world of the Muppets.
Right.
No breakups go like that.
No breakups
None.
go like
Zero.
that. I have broken up with several people throughout my life.
There was people before me.
Of course there were. I couldn't grow as a person to be worthy to date you
No.
without other people
It's true.
to help me learn what was wrong with me.
Oh, baby.
We're sticking with it. But this is it's just such a boring song. It doesn't contribute to the movie at all.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't bring anything to the plot.
So in the theatrical version and most DVD releases, they just cut the song out entirely. They show Belle saying, "You did once," after Ebenezer says, "I love you, Belle." And then they cut very awkwardly to Rizzo crying, Gonzo comforting him, and Belle walking away.
Yep.
Which is fine by me, because this song is one of the worst songs.
Yeah, I mean, the song itself is very flat. And then, very oddly, and we discussed this, the actress who played Belle had a bizarrely happy, content look on her face singing this sad, sad song about breaking up.
She was smiling during the whole damn song.
It was real weird. And then Michael Caine comes in and having lots of feelings and emotions and weeping behind her. It's very mismatched and odd.
Yeah, definitely. So what we would do in the Spencer family, we would forward through the song because we had it on VHS and it was available on VHS.
Yeah.
Because most VHS were full screen.
Yeah.
That song was shot in full screen.
Yeah.
But isn't available in widescreen. So if you watch the movie in widescreen, you don't get the song. If you watch it in full screen, you get the song. Like every other movie in existence, fucking watch it in widescreen.
Yes.
But on VHS, we had it on full screen, and we would forward through that song because it's terrible. And someone, my dad, I mean, it might have changed from time to time, but almost always was my dad, would make fun of it, usually singing new lyrics to it.
I am shocked and surprised. That is not a thing that I have known the Spencer family to do at all, ever. No, wait.
Wait, yeah,
Wait.
I feel like you're maybe
The
fibbing
opposite.
a little
The
bit.
other thing. The other
Yeah,
thing.
no. We do love making up new lyrics to
We
songs.
spent the most of Thanksgiving Day today singing Christmas carols with adding in the phrase "Go fuck yourself," which works.
Fuck yourself.
Yes.
Go fuck yourself.
Yes, that famous Christmas carol. it works in every song, every
It
song.
really does.
It's weird.
Said the king to the people everywhere.
Go and fuck yourself.
You can go and fuck yourself. It was seriously very
We're a
fun
mess.
all day. Yeah. Particularly with songs like Christmas in Killarney. Anyway, we were listening to a lot of Christmas songs while cooking our Thanksgiving
It's
dinner.
Thanksgiving. It's legal now.
That's right. So they have a lot of fun with the shops in the background, like we talked about. So Statler and Waldorf, we see.
Yep.
Statler and Waldorf being the names of the characters playing Jacob and Robert Marley. Jacob Marley being the actual character from the original story.
Yes.
Robert Marley being
A cousin of Bob Marley.
Actually, yeah. So the ghosts that accompany
yes.
Jacob and Robert Marley all wail and scream, but it's a reference to Bob Marley and the Wailers.
Oh my God.
Because of course it is.
Of course it is. That's great.
We see a store in the background called Micklewhite's. A couple of points in the final song. Well, I mean, I guess technically second to last song. The final song is
Before the credits.
yeah. The final song is The Love We Found, a reprise of When Love Is Gone. It's a bullshit song. But it's such a... So the last number, I believe, is called Thankful Heart.
Yeah, I think.
Really great song. And we see him... we see Scrooge walk in front of a store called Micklewhite's Something Shop. I can't see what it is. I've tried several times to look and see. Micklewhite is a reference to Michael Caine's real name, which is Maurice Micklewhite.
That's a lot of name.
It is a lot of
A lot of name.
But they felt like Maurice Micklewhite maybe wasn't the best when he started acting, so he went with Michael, and then just added Caine as his last name.
Good call. Good call.
So, in the song One More Sleep Till Christmas, which is one of my absolute favorites, like I get choked up every time, 100% of the time. And that's not going to change after the research that I did and finding out what I found out. There's a shooting star at the very end of the song. And someone says Merry Christmas. I always felt like that shooting star was someone in a rocket yelling Merry Christmas when I was younger. It was very silly. But they put that in there as a nod to Jim Henson, who like had a really soft spot in his heart for shooting stars. Like felt very strongly about them and put them in a lot of other Muppet movies because he felt very strongly. And so they put that in there as a way of saying goodbye to Jim Henson, which is just great. I'm fine.
You're fine. I can make it worse.
Make it worse.
Last year, we had only been dating for like a little over a month, and I went home to see my family in Buffalo for Christmas, and I was anxious to come back here and see you. And it was the last night before I was flying back, and we both independently of each other, we hadn't been discussing the Muppet Christmas Carol at all, and out of nowhere, both of us at the same time said, "One more sleep till I'm home." I made it worse.
I mean, you did, but that was great. I was very excited for you to be home.
Me too.
And within a month of that, your dad would meet me while I was wearing a suit.
No, it was before that.
No, it was when you flew home for Christmas that I picked you up at your dad's place.
Yeah.
Met your dad.
Yeah, and I'm talking about when I was coming back from that trip.
Of course, because One More Sleep Till Christmas. I'm on it. This movie in theaters did not do as well as I feel it should have.
I feel like that's common with a lot of Christmas movies, that like specifically holiday Christmas movies, like things that are released around holidays that aren't specifically supposed to be holiday movies seem to do well, but I feel like holiday themed movies never do as well as, you want them to, with the exception of those god-awful, like New Year's Day, Valentine's Day, blah, blah, crappy movies.
I did go and see Valentine's Day in the theaters.
Why?
Involved the girl I was dating at the time, but let's not worry about that.
Oh, that's okay. She had terrible taste.
She did. She was into me.
Nah, hey.
Anyway, so this movie was competing against another Christmas movie, Home Alone 2.
Oh, snap. There you go.
So Home Alone 2 obviously beat it in the box office.
Mm-hmm. It was that appearance from Donald J. Trump.
That's right.
Box office gold. Couldn't do better. Best cameo.
Let's talk for a minute about the monsters on Rotten Tomatoes.
They have bad things to say?
What would you guess they would have rated this movie? I'll give you a hint. It is above 50%.
73.
You are too high.
No. 61.
You are too low.
69. Nice.
And that is correct. Rotten Tomatoes has given this 69%, which is,
Why? No.
according to the high school I went to, failing.
Yeah.
69 was an F.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't understand how this movie would get below the monsters of Rotten Tomatoes.
No, Rotten Tomatoes doesn't assign the scores. They are an aggregate. So they take the scores from other people and then make an average out of that. So it just means that the people who actually reviewed it at the time when it came out were shitty people.
A lot of people mainly complained about the music in the movie being lyrically challenged and just not great, which makes me mad because Paul Williams wrote the movie. Paul Williams being everybody's favorite very short person in Smokey and the Bandit. He wrote the music, and the music's great. I mean, Paul Williams is a really great, a very surprisingly great musician.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote the music for a lot of things. And it's just so sad that he wrote the music for this and it just went so pear-shaped.
Yeah.
That's all I've got for the notes on this movie. Let's talk about the tropes. And it's kind of tricky to talk about the tropes for this one because the tropes tie into the original story.
Yeah, it's the original story, so it's not necessarily so much a question of the tropes in the film as, deconstructing the tropes that are written into classic literature.
So let's try and deconstruct the tropes that are specific to the film over the classic literature. Muppets.
Do Muppets count as their own trope?
I think they count as their own trope, but it's a trope that I always want to see.
Yes, I would like more Muppets, please.
And always more Charles Grodin.
Mm-hmm.
Which, of course, Charles Grodin, not in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But he was in The Great Muppet Caper, another one of my favorite Muppet movies.
A lot of the tropes are just constructed around the gag of there being Muppets. It's
That's
not
very
trope
true.
heavy.
This is
otherwise.
not a very trope heavy movie, and I kind of love it.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about the fact that there are Muppets themselves are a trope and have their own tropes. So like the things that you can always expect, heavy sarcasm from Miss Piggy.
Oh yeah,
The
terrible puns from Fozzie.
Yeah. Terrible puns from Statler and Waldorf.
Also that.
Lots of puns. There's almost always a group of Muppets who are getting Kermit to ask for something on their behalf, and then the instant that it is turned down, they claim that it was his idea and they didn't have anything
to do. The frog's idea.
Exactly.
This is my island in the sun.
Yes. Surely there are others, but it's been a while since I've seen a lot of Muppet things, so I don't have all of them quite called up to memory right now. But, I mean, it's a classic. It's real good. And if you don't think so, you're a monster.
You're a monster. You're wrong, and I don't want to drive with you. Muppet Christmas Carol, like I've said, is one of my absolute favorites. There's a lot of sentimentality tied into this for me, and I'll acknowledge that. But also, it's just a damn good movie.
Yeah, it's a good. I mean, A Christmas Carol is a good story, flat out, and
It's a great
it's been
story.
done super well, and it's been done super poorly. And I think Muppet Christmas Carol is at the top of the heap of productions.
So it took me a long time when I was a kid to understand there'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago from the song It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what? Scary ghost stories? What are they talking about? And then I realized, oh, wait, they're talking about A Christmas Carol.
Yep.
That has some ghosts in it.
It does. Spirits. Many spirits.
Let's talk about those spirits for a minute. The Ghost of Christmas Past.
Yeah, that was a weird.
A weird one, right?
Yes.
She looked like she was in, like, liquid of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was.
Oh.
So at first, they created the Muppet, but then the face was the face of an actual actress whose name was... So Jessica Fox was the Ghost of Christmas Past. And the Muppet, like the puppet that they used, they submerged the puppeteer and the puppet in a tank of baby oil
Oh, God, no.
to get the weird kind of floating look of it. And then when that became too expensive, they just replaced it with water. So a lot of water was used.
Yes.
The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come.
Mm-hmm.
This is my absolute favorite version of The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come.
Yeah.
He's creepy looking.
Yep.
His hands, the only actual part of him you can see aside from the weird robe he's wearing, the hands look slimy and gross.
Yeah.
The just like absolute void that is in the hood that he's wearing.
Yeah. It's
So
very,
creepy.
Very, very creepy. Very spooky.
I absolutely hated it as a kid, which means that I absolutely love it now. Just really great. I love, and the Ghost of Christmas Present is so much fun. He's such
I
a
love
sweetheart.
I love it so much.
Come in and know me better, man. I just love the ghosts in this movie. I think once they decided to recast them as
Yeah.
original, like 3 original creations on top of Jacob and Robert Marley, that was the absolute right call. Like they couldn't have created anything better than what they already created.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really a good one. It's a classic.
I super duper love this movie. And like I said, I acknowledge that it's maybe a little bit sentimentality.
Maybe a little bit, but every once in a while you have something that you're sentimental about and you go back and you look at it and you're like, huh.
This is still really great.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it can go either way. Sometimes you look back at things and you're like, oh, well, turns out that my feelings about that were very, very much based on my perception at the time. Or you can watch something like this and you can still feel really good about it.
Yeah, I still really love this movie.
It's a very good one.
I ain't never gonna stop loving this movie. To make another Vine reference.
How many Vine references?
To be fair, if I were really to truly make that Vine reference, it would be, I love this movie. I ain't gonna never stop loving this movie.
I think that should probably be about it.
I think that's probably about it. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think it's a real good one, and I'm real happy that I got to watch it with you.
I'm real happy that I got to watch it with you, and I love that I got to watch it with you on the night of Thanksgiving, as is Spencer family tradition. I love you.
I love you.
And that's going to be it. So thank you so much for tuning in.
You can find us on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, YouTube. I feel like I got an email the other day that said we were somewhere else that I'd never heard of, but I don't know. But if you would like and subscribe and tell your friends, it would be pretty cool.
You can email us with any suggestions, questions, comments, concerns at subvertedtropecast@gmail.com. You can find our blog where we're going to be posting pictures of A, our scarfed Kermit, and B, probably lots of pictures of Ripley at subvertedtropecast.wordpress.com.
You can find us on Twitter at subvertedtropes. Look us up there. We will put up, we put up stuff when we're watching movies, so there's always something going on. We also have about 1 million other podcasts that we follow and we chat with, and it's a great place to, if you're looking for something new.
I believe this Wednesday I will be on a podcast,
Historical Hotties, which will be very exciting.
I will be talking about about composers. So Historical Hotties is a podcast that rates historical figures on several different factors, not just physical attractiveness, mental attractiveness, physical attractive. Jesus, I can't fucking say it. Mental attractiveness, physical attractiveness, social impact, and je ne sais quoi. And in the episode I'm in, we're talking about composers, and we have a whole lot of fun with it. You should listen to that episode plus all of their episodes because they're freaking fantastic.
We were fans first.
We were fans before they had me on, and then they had me on, and I'm still a huge fan.
Thank you, as always, to our amazing artist, Gracie Boland, who did our logo. You can find her on Instagram at a fandom doodler, and her Etsy shop is That Crazy Princess. She does bookmarks and all kinds of really cool stuff. So check her out because she's crazy talented and just crazy awesome in general.
And thank you so much for tuning in. Our next episode should be coming out next Monday, and it's going to be a good one. We're going to continue the Christmas movie theme we've got.
Yeah, we got plans through the rest of the year. So any suggestions you make might have to be put off until the new year, but we would love to hear from you.
Yes, please. We would love to hear some suggestions for 2018. Jeez, I can't believe 2018 is already so freaking close. But we would love to hear some suggestions for 2018, and we will see you.
We'll see you on the internet, guys.
We'll see you on the internet. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys have a great night.